Am I on? Yeah, I'm on. Okay, so initially I had a plan to do another video today in which the subject matter was completely different from this one, but for some reason I'm in a bad mood right now and my spirits are depressed because I am so sick and tired of people of color castigating this country to death. And since nobody else has the balls on YouTube to talk about it, especially white people, I guess I have to do it. I'm really tired of the anti-white shit that's going on in this country. And let me interject here real quickly, but I know I use this park a lot for my videos. Tell me something I don't know. I already know that, so don't tell me. There's blue jays on the roof and they're having their lunch. So if you hear crashes above me, that's what it is. The birds are eating right now. So for those of you who don't know, Tracy K Smith is a wonderful poet. She's a black woman. She is an English professor, excuse me. She's an English professor at Harvard University, and she teaches English and African American studies. Wow, how about that? And she won a Pulitzer Prize a few years back for a remarkable piece of poetry called Life on Mars. I don't know if you read it. If you have not read it, I suggest that you do. If you are a student of poetry, and if you're a poet yourself, and you have not been familiarized with this work, it's critical that you do so. I have a lot of respect for her as an artist. I do not have a lot of respect for her as a human being. And she's written, there's a disturbing account here in the Washington Post about her new book, which is called To Free the Captives. And once again, she delves into how she's been oppressed, how white people have kept her down, how white people kept her family down, and this whole remarkable, shitty memoirs about, well, I haven't read it in its entirety, but it seems to be about how we can improve the black man and how we need to cater more to people of color. And I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of things here. I'm going to read a couple of excerpts from this article. I'm going to post it below this video for your reference and for your review if you have the interest to do so. This is in a Washington Post. It was printed on November 2nd, 2023 at 3:09 p.m. And here it starts off, what if ghosts return not to haunt or hector, but because they cannot bear to relinquish the common pleasures of daily life? In Tracy K. Smith's new book, Interlinked Essays, To Free the Captives, she imagines her dead parents returning as surprisingly no-nonsense spectators. They have no grand message to impart, no pressing prophecies to convey. Instead, they crave something smaller and at the same time maybe more exalted. And blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to read the whole entire article because I have no desire to do so. And you can, again, you can do it on your own. Smith, a Pulitzer Prize-winning poet and a professor of English and African American Studies at Harvard, writes prose at once dazzling and exciting. On nearly every page of this book is a phrase or sentence to marvel over. A word, usually an adjective, so unexpectedly apt that it freshens familiar language. A white person would never get this kind of review. I mean, you can already tell that this is just aggrandizing, but whatever. Anyway, so we go through this, and it says, To Free the Captives is so luscious that it often reads less like a collection of essays than a work of prose poetry. Its 6 long sections and brief coda are not neatly contained narratives or discrete arguments. Instead, they are threads in one continuous web of reminiscence and observation. The book chronicles a fraught trip Smith took to Georgia, where she spent the night in a former plantation house that seemed cursed, in her first months of her motherhood. And she goes on and on. Let me scroll down the article here to get to the kind of the nitty-gritty stuff, and then I'm just going to make a response to this, and that's it. The confusions and outright contradictions compel her to abandon the cool deflections of the archive and evoke her forebears with novelistic vivacity. She never witnessed her father's youth, but she can't picture him as an inquisitive child cranking the wheels in his grandfather's blacksmith shop. He was denied his GI Bill for some whatever reason. She goes into the magnificent detail of how that happened, and that, you know, the white man just decided to crush personally her own family, like so many other blacks do in this country, and they cry about racism. Over and over, she pits the dead rhetoric of institutions against the vibrant hum of human speech. In the archives where she researches her father's origins, she discovers a letter from 1933 written by a man named Simon Trixie, an Alabama governor, who says, I feel like I haven't been treated just and fair, and I have such responsibilities on myself and several others with large families. Trixie lamented having lost his job. He wrote with an irresponsible character, but the government's reply was evasive and impersonal. We are looking now to get more funds. You should talk over with people in charge of the matter in your county, in your situation, and I am sure they will give careful consideration to it. So the military says, according to this article, that her father actually owed $1,030.63 for every shipment of household goods. It is too written in a chilling government-y syntax. designed to tell you that no justification on your part, no private catastrophe, no emotional appeal nor anything will have bearing upon the government's determination to collect the debt you have allowed yourself to accrue. Like so many black people in this country, that they're constantly getting mobbed by the white person, they're constantly being kept down. These are the very same people who are writing these memoirs, like Tracy Smith, who have accrued a very good living in this country, have gone to an academic institution like Harvard, are in a process, probably, most likely, given a tenureship at Harvard, where she, no matter what she says and does, she cannot be fired. I don't know a lot of people. I don't know a lot of white people. I don't know a lot of white people that have that kind of protection. And this goes on where she condemns the system that made her what she is, like Colin Kaepernick, like a lot of black millionaires that are out there making millions of dollars, and all you hear about is how bad it is. Meanwhile, at the same time that I'm making this video, and at the same time I am telling you all of this stuff, there are migrants floating on logs with their children in the Atlantic Ocean trying to get to this country to reap the benefits of it. There is still slavery that is in existence in many parts of the world. And I wouldn't say many parts of the world, but slavery still in existence, certainly in Africa and certainly in the Middle East. Why doesn't Tracy Smith write poetry about that? Why is it always that I'm reminded of how bad this country is because, with all the anti-whiteness, and that America is so racist, and America is so bigoted, and America just wants to just put the people of color in a grip where they can never get out of? And for that matter, if that's true, then why do they embrace the Democratic Party? Why is it that so many black leaders in this country have embraced socialism and communism? Why is that? Why is it that people like Marcus Garvey and the founding members of the Black Guerrilla family and the Black Panther Party, they all embraced communism and socialism? Why is that? Who explained to them, who convinced them that that form of government is so great? Because they probably are convinced that they can't do it on their own initiative. Therefore, they want a government that they think is going to take care of them. Where, in fact, socialism and communism do the opposite. If my grandmother was here that came from Eastern Europe, she would be able to tell you that. But since everybody seems to have this notion that this country is so against people of color, that no matter what they try to do, they're never going to get up to the ladder of success. The biggest obstacle that the black race has in this country is themselves. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to get off here, I'm going to make this very short. I am not ashamed to be white, and I am not ashamed to speak out against all the anti-whiteness that I see in this country. Because for me, for one thing, I have laurels, and I've earned them. I lost a whole fucking year of my life being homeless and sleeping in single-digit temperatures, without covers, without pillows, going days without food. Has Tracy Smith ever done that? Has Jay-Z ever done that? Has Beyonce ever did that? I have overcome adversity unimaginable. And all the videos that I made about the homeless in Pittsburgh series don't cover it. You can't even imagine to begin what I've been through and what I have had to overcome and what I'm still doing and overcome in my life. And not one time in those videos did I ever say that I'm a victim of something. Not one time. And honestly, and I've said this before, there was more black people that helped me and when I was in the streets of Pittsburgh than white people did. So I don't have a problem with adversity. They didn't have a problem with it. They lived on the streets and they were more happier than anybody. And these people who curl up in these academic ivory towers in these colleges, they don't have the first clue what it's like to be poor. They don't have the first clue what it's like to be hungry. But I do. So I can speak from experience, something they can't do. I can write from experience, something they can't do. I've done it. I continue to do it. And I don't hate this country. I don't call myself a victim, and I'm a white person. And I'm not ashamed to be white. And I'm going to speak for the white man. And I am not ashamed to say that all this anti-whiteness that's going on is what's bringing this country down. You can't fight racism with racism. Why are these people worried about so much? Why do we continue to talk about the color of their skin rather than the content of their character and the power of their intellect? Because that's where creativity resides, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't reside in playing a victim. That's what these people all seem to forget. And even they're artists. And Tracy Smith is a respected poet, and I still love her poetry. So if you want to call me a racist, you're not grasping what I'm trying to say in this video. You're just not. You're seeing it through social media. I'm seeing it through experience because I lived it. And I can tell you now that there's not one person here who's oppressed. The only person that's oppressed is the one who's convinced himself that he is. And I will say this again. I'm going to end the video like this, and I'm going to say this. And I've said it in other videos. Show me a nation on planet Earth that is run by black people, where black people have it better in that nation than they do here. I'm eating my popcorn and I'm watching, and I'm going to wait for the response. Okay? You just show me that nation. Show me a group of black people where they have created a government that is better than the government that we have here, and black people are just reaping endless benefits. Show me where that exists. Because I don't see it. Show it to me. Prove me where I'm wrong. And remember, I come from a family of Democrats. I come from a family of, not to say, I bash Republicans too, so I'm being impartial here. I'm still being impartial. I bust both parties' asses, because when I see something wrong, I call it out. And I'm calling this out. I'm sick of it. These people reap the benefits in this country, and they still tell me, they have the audacity to come and run in my face and tell me I'm a racist and your country sucks and it's just for white people. I'm sick of it. I've had it, and I'm speaking against it. You show me where I'm wrong. So with that said, I'm going to end this video with a Bible verse. It's from the 2nd book of Kings. David giving advice to Solomon on his deathbed, and this is what he tells him. Take courage and be a man. Keep the mandate of the Lord your God, following his ways and observing his statutes, commands, ordinances, and decrees, that you may succeed in whatever you do. I'll see you in the next video.